what I'm doing right now is this video, of course, is really a quick snap type of thing. Let go. Just really let go. You can tell when you need to let go by when things, of course, are not progressing in your life, when you're not able to move forward, when you've applied for a gazillion jobs that you know you're qualified for, when you have, when you know your mate has told you, your ex-mate told you they no longer want anything else to do with you and they've moved in with somebody else. Those are times to let go. When your life is overall interfering with your progression. Every time that you try to progress or do something great, it somehow feels like it's being blocked. It's because that you're holding on to something. And sometimes when we hold on to things, it um we become enablers of our own lifestyle instead of looking at a situation, realizing that it's no longer benefiting us and it's time for us to let go and move on. And that's where we have a lot of problems, is because we won't accept. And it's not always about feelings. It's not always about feelings. It's not always that you didn't succeed in something. It was just that was not meant for you at that time, whether it was meant for you at all, right? Either way, letting go. Sometimes when we let go of something and it's worthy and we're blessed with receiving it, or it's for us to have, it would definitely come back. And that's dealing with relationships, that's dealing with jobs, that's dealing with a lot of different things in our lives. That's even dealing with our children. When our children start acting a fool, and sometimes if we just let go and allow them to figure it out, they'll come running back. Okay, because it's meant for them too to realize, hey, I messed up. Hey, mom, dad, I need you. And so we have to let go of things if it's interfering in our daily lives, if we're not progressing, if we're not becoming one, if we're not doing everything that we set out to do. Excuse me, we have to let go. When we're hurting, when it's hurting so bad, when we're in so much pain emotionally, we have to just let go and accept. When someone breaks our heart, we have to let go. Um, because, and then that's also how you know as well, is when your chakras need to be clear. And more than likely, it's probably that heart chakra that's probably hitting you very hard. It needs to be cleansed. And also, your foundation might need to be cleansed because you won't let go, because that's your foundation. Because sometimes, especially when our lives are shattered, when we find out we adopted, we didn't know. When we find out a particular person is our father, was not a biological, we thought for years and years and years, or mother, or we thought we was this way. And when that foundation comes out, or we're in a relationship and we've been lied to the whole time, we found out our mate is married, or we found out your foundation being ruined into. And so we have to really start in dealing with things and dealing with life, and not just brushing things under the table. And sometimes we're, especially when we're younger, sometimes our memories will block ourselves from pain because of going through that initially at 5. You know, if we were molested, or if we had been touched or violated, or whatever the situation. Our memories block that out, and our parents helped us, and our parents also keep on that lie, and that is totally understandable, because again, it's self preservation, and it's also your parents, not because your parents did it, but because they're trying to protect you from going through that pain. And then unfortunately later on you will have certain memories or inclinations of it, and then you get to dealing with that pain and that heartache and pain and hate, and then you don't understand why you're doing this or why you're doing that. And so that of course can be dealing with the security. They could be dealing with the root chakra as well. They could also be dealing with the second chakra and even the third chakra, and even going down to the fourth chakra, even on the third and the fifth. So all the chakras are definitely interfere with when violations come into play. Now, you go by the manual. If you go by what the books say, the book will tell you something differently. But I'm telling you what it is, because I am not. I'm definitely a chakra healer, but also I go deep into the chakras. I don't just listen or go on what I'm being told from book textbook. I go on because I've been doing it for so long and I'm experienced and I go by experiences and I go by in healing my clients. So we have to understand what that is and we have to really begin to start dealing with these things and letting go. And sometimes it's better to let go than to keep with us. It's just like I always give my clients a euphemism is if they're holding on so much pain, they're reliving stuff that happened to them when they were 5, 10, 20 yesterday. They're holding on with it instead of letting it go, and reliving the pain over and over and over. So I know when my best friend died, I lived his death over and over and over and over. And I slowly was dying each day over and over and over because I kept seeing his death. I kept seeing him. I kept seeing what I told him. I remember everything I said to him. I remember what he said to me and that kind of thing. And then I remember the time when I received a call about him being in a situation and ultimately causing time demise. And I relived that over and over and over. And at some point in time, it took me a while, a long while. And finally, I began to start slowly but surely letting smaller things go and then replacing that negativity and replacing that whole energy of despair and pain with good times and remembering silly shit that he did and just remembering how the pleasant things and just kind of balancing it out because again we have to be honest with ourselves. We can't just relive the uh positive things. Sometimes we have to create a balance. So it became a balance. So of course I replaced it with the good things and then I began to look at it once I healed from that or once I understood that. I won't say heal, I would say once I understood certain things, then I replaced it with the truth as all the whole and completely truth, the whole complete truth. And then I began to not really necessarily reliving it. It became a part of me, but not part of as a memory. And just I carried him with me all the time because that was my best friend and I loved him. So it wasn't a thing where I just kept that pain around me. I kept him and his memories and certain things that was done and knowing. And if I ever received another friend or I've ever got a friend again, I would know what I want in a friend because he was definitely a prototype of a friend and something that I wanted in a friend. And so I'm blessed in knowing him. I'm blessed in being around his energy and things like that. And so we have to begin to start looking at things on their perspective and no longer reliving things that's going to constantly hurt us. And sometimes it's like we have a need for gluttony. We have a need to punish ourselves. And a lot of that was guilt. And sometimes we suffer guilt, of death. And so we have to also let go of guilt because we blame ourselves for this happening. We blame ourselves for being violated as children. We blame ourselves, especially women and even men to a degree of being raped. We blame ourselves for being in bad relationships and failed marriages. We blame ourselves for being put in certain situations. We blame ourselves for already knowing the truth, but we still giving certain people chances and not really looking at those red flags or those orange flags as what it was and was definitely a warning and our own intuition letting us know, hey, don't get into that situation because it's going to be bad. Or if we go left and we're going to get shot, then we walk around with all that guilt. We walk around with all that pain, or especially if we were with someone and that person got killed and lived, So that's a lot of guilt. So we have to let go of that guilt because it was meant for you to live. We have to begin to live and let go of all this pain, animosity, anger, letting go of all these things that are bothering us, that continuously bother us because we're still living in the past and we're not ready to move on to the future. I mean, you can stay in the past as long as you like, but just keep in mind that you're not really living because you're still in the past. And so now at a certain point in time, you have to really begin to start looking at your future. And sometimes some of us be in our future way more than we are in the present. Okay. And so again, we're so obsessed with the future that we're not dealing with ourselves in the present because you can't make your future without having your present and being in the moment. Okay. So again, it's so much letting go. Okay. So again, to get a hold of Dr. Amira Sankofa Kwali, reach me at 502-208-9142. www.ask314life.com, and I'll be happy to assist you with any of the needs that you're needing. I'm definitely, if I say needs that you're needing, wow, whatever. But anyway, I'm definitely here for you, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you all. And hopefully, you share and like this video, and definitely start getting my videos out there more. I said I was gonna start doing a video a day just to promote myself with all the wonderful things that I'm offering here to assist people, because I am a true healer. As a matter of fact, I am your revolutionary master healer. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Namaste.